substance. And it's landed her behind bars. This girl, Megan M. Mayer, and trust me, she does not look at all, but it could be just a mugshot. She doesn't look happy in the mugshot. She looks, really sad and depressed there. But the 22-year-old was charged with 2 counts of imitation of a controlled substance and 1 felony count of bail jumping. Now, again, a show of being honest, because I'm always honest. I didn't know that it was illegal to imitate a controlled substance. I mean, if you're imitating an illegal, illicit substance, like, well, I guess it's because what was that stuff that people were smoking? Spice? Yeah, spice. In a lot of communities, that has become illegal, but people didn't get arrested for having it before it was illegal. So now if you take dog food and aspirin and mix it together and say, hey, this, I don't know what, maybe she was saying it was heroin or crack or something. I don't know. I don't know how she was doing it, but while she faces a maximum of 12 years in prison. 12 years in prison, possibly, for distributing a fake drug. There are murderers who get less time than that. Do you people realize that? Are we really we seem to be concentrating on all the wrong things as far as public health and public safety are concerned. We are going to send away potentially somebody, who didn't really do anything illegal except say that her concoction was another drug, an illicit drug. Maybe she could be arrested for fraud, but why the hell is it illegal to imitate a drug? If it's, I don't know, and get 12 years for it. But you can get off and get out in less than 6 years if you murder someone. I can't for the life of me figure that one out. This is a day that I just can't figure stuff out. I'm trying. My logical brain just cannot figure this stuff out. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, this happened back in November, actually. She was initially picked up earlier this week for a probation hold relating to an overdose in Plymouth. So, evidently, she overdosed on a drug back in November. She lived. And I guess her way of kicking the habit is to create a fake drug and probably try to pass it off as the real thing. And that's why she gets arrested again. Unbelievable. Now, she was ratted out by an informant. The informant told officers that Mayer had contacted the the informant offering to sell a pill of Percocet for $35 and arranging the buy. Mayer increased the price to $50 per pill and also agreed to sell a similar pill to some boy, which is slang for heroin. I didn't know the slang for heroin was some boy. Is that an Asian word? So she was trying to pass off her concoction as Percocet and heroin. Whoever these, if they were real people that got a hold of this stuff, they wouldn't have died of an overdose of dog food and aspirin. Well, I suppose you could if you snort it, aspirin is thins the blood, so maybe you could get a nosebleed. But other than that, what makes people even think of doing that in the first place? It's pure desperation. Why are people so desperate? I mean, it's pure desperation. World climate chef. You know, back in the Paris climate thing. You know, where all the world leaders flew all of those big, wonderful jets and then took all those limousines to the hotels and conference centers where this conference was. You know, all those gas guzzling and jet fuel guzzling types of things that don't pollute the planet, don't contribute to global warming. Yeah, they took all that stuff and they decided to meet in Paris for a climate conference. Well, Marc Verat, one of 5 top French chefs who cooked for 150 world leaders at the conference, was ordered to pay 100,000 euro for destroying forest and bog around his Alpine restaurant. You cannot make this stuff up. I mean, this is just, it's insane. Now, Marc Verat was among 5 top Gaelic chefs who cooked up an eco menu fit for the 150-odd heads of state gathered outside Paris earlier this month to seal a historic climate deal. And this is from the telegraph.co.uk, again, a foreign source. Now, French diplomats surmise that one of the reasons that previous attempts had failed was because the food was not good enough to inspire the negotiators. So the reason why they couldn't come to an accord every other time that they've met all over the planet for this stupid climate thing was because the food wasn't good enough to inspire the negotiators to do their jobs. So they hire 5 highly acclaimed French chefs, one of them who's now been fined for destroying the environment around his restaurant. I'm about to bust a gut, folks. You can't make this stuff up. Unbelievable. Now, here in this country, he probably wouldn't have, if he supported all these nut jobs and he believed in global warming and climate change, all that kind of stuff, and saving the environment and leaving it pristine, and maybe we should just start digging underground. We should build all our leave everything on top of the ground, fine and pristine. We have to dig down deep enough so you don't bother all the roots of all the trees and bushes and things like that. But we should I don't know what you're going to do with all the dirt. You got to put dirt somewhere. But I guess it's just dirt, so that's a natural thing. It's not oil. But if we start, building all these underground cities and have these cavernous underground... but then somebody's probably going to come up and say, well, it's kind of like fracking. We're going to start polluting the water sources because, maybe we should just have floating cities. Well, no, that's going to take energy to float the cities, and that's going to be polluting or the cities will get too big in the air and block out the sun on the ground, and mankind is just doomed. If we listen to these environmentalist wackos, we're just doomed. There's no way to live. Really, there's no way for us to live in harmony with this planet. We're going to have to leave the Earth. We're going to all have to crowd on the moon and just use the Earth, the entire planet, as a natural park. That's it. You have to go to the Earth as a park. Instead of Disney World, it's Earth World. Because everything's going to have to be on the moon. I'm sure there'll probably be people up there. Once we get up there, they'll probably say, well, we're destroying the moon's atmosphere or whatever, ecosystem. The moon has no ecosystem, but we'll be creating one, and if we're going to live on the moon. So I guess that would be destroying the current ecosystem. So forget the moon. We're going to have to build space stations. We just have to build giant, space stations. And we'll use the Earth and the moon as playgrounds. I can't see any other way of appeasing these people. There is no other way. Whatever mankind does, we're affecting the earth in some manner. And that effect is leading to us destroying the atmosphere and the climate and causing global climate change. So no matter, even if we were to go back to the Stone Age, there's too many people, and now there's last week I saw a report that vegetable gardening, vegetarians do more damage to the climate based on their criteria than meat eaters. I don't know how that's possible. Well, I mean, hey, what was the school that did a study that plants evidently are sentient enough to feel, and that when you have a live plant near your dinner table and you're eating vegetables, that live plant has a hysteria fit because you're eating one of their brethren. So, don't eat a carrot because you're killing a plant. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. You can look it up. I mean, I know it's insane. I know it's absolutely, totally, completely insanity. But there you are. So, basically, in this ironic twist, a court in Annecy, southeastern France, earlier today found Mr. Vaillant guilty of cutting down 75,000 square feet of forest around his hotel restaurant La Maison du Bois in Menango, in Haute-Savoie, without authorization, and drying up 10,000 square meters of wetland, making large parts of it sterile. So the court gave the revered 65-year-old, never without his trademark black Savoyard hat, 3 months to restore the damaged areas to their original state. He cut down trees. How is he going to replace them in 3 months? He can go out there and plant saplings, but that's not, restoring to its original state. Now, he can add water back in the bog. That's probably not going to, it's going to be costly, I'm sure, to bring all that water, but and the bog wasn't even a bog all year round. Only half the year. It was a bog for half the year. So now he's going to have to go out there and pour enough water in the bog to last 6 months every year. But trees, I suppose he could plant some saplings, but that's not putting it back to its original state. So I guess maybe his food wasn't that good. I don't know, because he's been targeted by the left. So maybe it wasn't all that great. You never know. And scientists are pondering how to create artificial intelligence that won't destroy us. Yeah. So in other words, we're admitting that artificial intelligence could someday decide to be like all the artificial intelligence movies and decide that mankind is no longer needed. Pretty much like Terminator, Battlestar Galactica, iRobot, a bunch of movies. Well, here's an idea. If you have a robot or with artificial intelligence, it's pretty easy how to keep it safe. One, you don't let them congregate together. You don't send them to a liberal school, that's for sure. And finally, if you keep them locked up in the house, they'll never know what's going on in the outside world, but you don't let them connect in the internet, and for God's sakes, don't let them watch Michael Bay movies.